In this video, I'm going to share with you my ultimate guide to keyword ads on Amazon. So I've been selling books now on Amazon for several years, and one of the most powerful tools that I've been utilizing are Amazon ads. Now, especially when you first launch a book, Amazon ads are incredibly important to help rank your books for certain keywords. Now in this video, I'm going to share with you loads of information about how keyword ads work. I'll show you how to set them up, and I'll answer some of the most commonly asked questions as well. So from my experience so far, keyword ads are one of the most powerful ways to get long-term sales on Amazon KDP. From my experience, if you're not creating those keyword ads, you're missing out on potentially ranking for search terms. For example, if we take a look at one of my best selling books over on Amazon KDP, you can see that it's getting sales every single month. And so I'm not running any advertising now for this book. This is purely organic sales every single month. And that's because I used keyword ads when I first launched it for a few months to get it ranking for certain keywords. As it was well received and it got sales during that launch process, it now ranks organically for popular search terms, which means it's going to continue to get organic sales over the long term. Now, if I hadn't have used Amazon ads to launch this book, it wouldn't be ranking for those search terms. And so that's why those keyword ads are extremely important. To start with, I'm going to take you over to Amazon ads and show you how to set up a keyword ad. I'm going to take you through everything that you need to know, and I'm also going to share with you some tips and tricks that I've learned in my journey so far. So when you're over on your Amazon ads, all you want to be doing is clicking this Create Campaign button. This is where you can set up your sponsored products or sponsored brands ads. So the keyword ads that we're going to set up today are all within this sponsored products section. Now, this is for the US marketplace, and in the US you can do a custom text ad, but for this example we're going to use a standard ad text. So you need to give your ad group a name, and then you need to select a book. So we're going to look at this Cozy Christmas coloring book for adults and teens that I've created for this Christmas period. Scrolling down, you have your targeting section. Automatic targeting is an auto ad, which lets Amazon do all the heavy lifting for you. But for keyword ads, we want to select manual targeting. And then when we scroll down, you can see we've either got keyword targeting or product targeting. And so keyword targeting is the one we want for this ad. Now we come down to the main section of this keyword targeting. Amazon will give you some suggested keywords based on your book, but what I like to do is enter a list or upload a file. So upload a file is great if you've got a spreadsheet with all of your keywords in, but generally the easiest way to go about this is just to enter a list. And so this is where you'll now enter your keywords. But how do you know what keywords you want to be entering? And so one of the easiest ways to do that is just come on over to Amazon and have a search around in the search bar. And so I want to find keywords for my Christmas coloring book for adults and teens. So if I come onto the search bar and start typing, you can see here that you've got some suggestions. So if we click on Christmas coloring books for adults, that would be the main place that I'd want my book to rank. But up here, you can see that there's over 10,000 results. Now, it's going to be very, very hard to compete with 10,000 results, right? So the main thing that we want to try and be doing is getting those results down a little bit lower, so we've got a better chance of ranking on that first page. And the way we do that is by niching down a little bit further. For example, my book is quite a simple Christmas colouring book. So if we go to this bottom suggestion, which is Christmas colouring books for adults simple, we've still got 10,000 results. So we need to keep going and having a little look at some different keywords. Here we go. We've got bold and simple Christmas colouring books for kids and adults. So that's a much more niche down search term. And you can see here there's 616 results. So my advice would be do this, try and find a load of the keywords that Amazon suggests, because that means there's generally search volume to those search terms. And I think if you can find results that are under 1,000, there's a chance of ranking for that search term. So we are going to take this quite long tail keyword that we found. We're going to go back over to our ad and we're going to enter it there in our keyword targeting box. Now, before we do anything else, we've got 3 different bid types. So the suggested bid, if I add the keyword here, you can see that it's going to target the suggested bid that Amazon gives. Now, these can be really, really high. So what I would suggest if you're on a budget, if you don't want to spend, say, $1 or more a click on some of the more popular search terms, you probably want to be setting your own bid. So what I like to do is set a custom bid, and I can come back and adjust this in the future. I can see if it's serving well, But for now, I'm going to set a custom bid of 50 cents. So let's go back and try and find some more keywords. So bold and easy is quite a popular colouring book niche at the moment. So bold and easy Christmas colouring book has 1,000 results. And you can see here, there's some more suggestions. So we're going to have a look for adults. Again, 1,000 results. We've got for teens, we've got 828 results. So that's a good one. We've got for adults and teens, which is 811 results. So we're going to target that. So there we go. We've got 5 search terms that we're going to add into our keyword ad. Now we come on to the match type. So on the match type, if we click here, Amazon will tell us what the different match types are. But generally for a broad search term, it's going to include those words in any order. It might also include things like plurals, singulars. Basically, it's anything that's similar to that search term. So broad is good for getting your book out there, but if you want to rank for a specific search term, you want to be doing the exact match, because your book will only be served when someone types that exact search string. So the exact match type is great for ranking for a specific keyword string. Broad is great for getting impressions and going a bit wider with your search results. And phrase is basically very similar to that search term string, but it can include things like singulars and plurals. So for this one, I'm going to turn off broad match because we want to be targeting these specific keywords. But I'm going to leave phrase on because there might be some additional keyword strings that it can target that are relevant for us. So we're going to add all of these keywords. And you can see here that those 5 keywords that I had have now turned into 10 keywords. And that's because we've got 5 for phrase and 5 for exact. And so you can see here, you've got the suggested bid that we are above of, which is great. But my first tip for you would be don't take too much stock into what that suggested bid is. So I'm actually well above the suggested bid, but there's still a chance that these ads won't even serve because the bid isn't high enough. So what I would say is those suggested bids are useful because if they are, say, over $1, you might be in a too popular niche, but it's sometimes worthwhile just trying them anyway. Scrolling down, we've got a section here which is negative keyword targeting. And so you can put a negative exact keyword or a negative phrase keyword. So for example, this is a colouring book for adults and teens. And especially if I was using that broad match, this negative keyword targeting box is a fantastic tool. And so in here, I'm going to put 2 negative keywords, which are Christmas colouring book for kids and colouring book for kids, because this is not a kids colouring book. And so this is going to make sure that my keyword ad is highly targeted. So you can enter whatever you want within that negative keyword targeting. As mentioned, that's more pertinent when you're doing things like broad match. So that way you're kind of helping Amazon with that broad searching to not target those search terms. Then scrolling down, you've got the campaign bidding strategy. So I set these bids to 50 cents. If you did fixed bids, anytime there was a click, you would get charged 50 cents. With the down only option, that will bid up to 50 cents, but some of the cost per clicks will be 40 cents, 30 cents, etc. And then the up and down takes that 50 cents as a base, but it can double it up to $1. And why Amazon do this is sometimes they kind of know through data and algorithms and everything if someone's more likely to purchase a book, so they'll raise the bid if they think it's more likely to convert into a sale. So it can be useful, especially if you've got a larger budget. But generally what I like to do is do the down only bids. That's because I know that the limit on the cost per click is 50 cents. But as you saw from those suggested bids, it could only cost me 23 cents, 25 cents. So that's the one that I normally do. But then there's some additional options. And so bid adjustments are here. So one of the most important bid adjustments for keyword ads is the top of search. So many of the sales come from those top of search placements. So let's say I was willing to spend $1 if my book was clicked at the top of search, I would increase my bid by 100%. Now that seemed like a little bit high for me, but maybe I'll do 50%. So that means I'm willing to pay 75 cents. And what that looks like, if we come on over to Amazon and we search for Christmas colouring book for adults, you can see here these first 4 results are all sponsored products. And that's because they're using Amazon ads to rank for this keyword. So if we wanted to get our book within those top 4, we would need to be bidding competitively with all of the other books that are trying to rank for that search term. The rest of search is just an additional percentage, when you scroll down, when you're on the second page, just to kind of give your book a little bit of a boost to try and appear a bit higher. But generally I leave that at 0. And then product pages I'll leave at 0 as well. Then onto your final settings, you need to give your campaign a name. I like to add KW for keywords, but I like to do that because I like to know, just glimpsing at my dashboard, what type of ad it is and how well it's performing. So one additional tip here that I'll share with you, and this is something that I try to do all the time, is to add your break-even ACOS in your campaign name. And that's because on Amazon ads, it shows the sales figure, but that's not how much royalty you'll get per sale. And that's why if we come on back over to Amazon, for this keyword ad, which wasn't very profitable, I spent $44.75 and I made $41.70 in sales, but the ACOS was 107%. So as I mentioned, you don't receive all of that $41.70. If you did, that book would be almost break even. But how it works is you'll receive a percentage of that sale. And so that's why you need to know the ACOS, which is the advertising cost of sale. And how we work out what your break even ACOS is you come on over to your bookshelf. Then you find your book and then you go to edit print book pricing. So for Amazon.com, for that $7.99 sale, we actually make a royalty of $1.95. And so we need to find out what the ACOS is, what $1.95 is into $7.99. So if we open the calculator, we simply do $1.95, which is our royalty, divided by the price of the book, which is $7.99. And then we times it by 100. And we can see the break-even ACOS for this book is 24.4%. And so what I like to do then is go back over to our campaign and just enter that figure in the end here. So what I'm doing is that I know now with this campaign that my break-even target is 24.4% ACOS. And you can see here with this ad that I was running earlier on in the year that the ACOS was 107%, so it was nowhere near break-even. And so that's why I ended up turning that ad off. But we're going to go again with some different keywords. We know that we need to try and be aiming around that 24.4% ACOS. Next, you can add it into a portfolio. That can be really useful for keeping your campaign dashboard tidy. And then you set your start date and end date. So seeing as this is a Christmas colouring book, we're going to run it up to Christmas Eve. Then we're going to set our daily budget. So from my experience, as long as you're not bidding high bids, Amazon doesn't generally use the whole of your budget. It might only use $1 or $2 per day, it might use $10, but generally I'd still advise you to enter what you're willing to spend at the most. So let's say on max, for the next month or so, I'm willing to spend $15 a day. It's got a suggested budget down here, which is useful. So if you're not sure, you could just select that and then you click Launch Campaign. You'll get a confirmation page like this, and it's worthwhile just double checking that you're using the right campaign bidding strategy and your placements are correct. So that's it set up in the US. If you wanted to set them up in Canada and the UK, you'd need to go over to those Amazon ads platforms as well. Okay, so that's your Amazon keyword ad set up, but the journey does not end there. What's super important with keyword ads is going back in on a regular basis and tracking it and seeing what's working. So if we go into this keyword ad that was running for the same book and look at last month, you can see all of the data here along the top. So at the beginning of the month, I was getting a good amount of impressions because the cost per click was higher. And so I ended up getting 81 clicks and 6 orders. So you can see there, that was all within the first half of the month. And then what I did is I turned my bids down because it wasn't a profitable ad. And then as you can see there, my impressions went right down. And that's because my bids weren't competitive enough. So if I wanted to try and rank for these keywords, I would need to increase my bid because I'm not bidding high enough to get impressions. You can see here at the beginning, our cost per click was 66 cents. I then got it down to just above 40 cents and I was still getting clicks. But then when I reduced it down to around 30 cents, that's when I stopped getting clicks. So I know that for this ad, based on my experience so far, perhaps 66 cents at the beginning was too high a bid, but around the 40 cents mark is an area where I'd still be able to get clicks, but it probably wouldn't serve much at around 30 cents per click. And what's really useful with keyword ads is to make sure you go inside and look at the targeting. That's where you've got a list of all these individual search terms that you're trying to rank for. And so you can see here, just your generic Christmas coloring book for adults on a broad search term. I received 42 clicks, 4 orders at an ACOS of 69.7%. The next one, Christmas colouring book for adults exact. I ended up getting 16 clicks and 2 orders at an ACOS of 54%. So that's a bit closer to my break-even ACOS, but it's still a bit of a way off. And then as you can see, the next one down, Bold and Easy Christmas colouring book, I got 7 clicks and no orders. So that's why I turned that bid right down to 22 cents. Then if we scroll down, some of the keywords just didn't serve. And that's likely because the bid wasn't high enough and it's a bit more of a competitive search term. So if you're not getting impressions after a few days, consider raising your bid by a few cents to see if those impressions will increase. But yeah, generally what I like to do, as you saw here, is I'll go in with a cost per click. So for the ad that we set up, it was 50 cents. And then if I'm getting good impressions and good clicks, I'll just come onto this targeting section and I will just drop the bid down by a couple of cents and see if it keeps running at the slightly lower bid. That's how you optimize your ads for long-term success. Because as you can see here at the beginning of this campaign, the cost per click was quite high. And so what I did was I brought it down to a lower level. So that's going to mean more profit over the long term. And unfortunately for me, I couldn't get it down to a cost per click that I thought was viable for this book. So this one I've left on, but generally it's not going to get many clicks or many impressions because the bids are too low. And then on the flip side, if your ACOS is beneath that break-even ACOS, and you want to get more impressions and more clicks, you can increase your bid by a few cents to try and then get more clicks and more impressions. And so that's the importance of optimizing your ads on an ongoing basis. Now, you might be asking yourself, why even bother using Amazon ads? You saw one of my examples there that wasn't profitable. And the answer to that is that, some of them are profitable. And what keyword ads tend to do if you make enough sales, if you're using the right search terms, is that your book can be ranked organically for search terms. So that means over the longer term, if your ads aren't directly profitable underneath that break-even ACOS, you can turn the ads off or reduce them right down, and you can still make sales organically because you're placed for those search terms. And what I've found is that using keyword ads, even if I just make a few sales within the first few months of it launching, is that it often ranks on that first page for search terms. So as mentioned, it depends on how competitive the search term is and how many results there are. In order to rank for something like Christmas colouring book for adults, you might need to make 100 or so sales. But in order to rank for something that's only got a few hundred search results, you might only need to make, say, 10 sales. And so the key thing from my experience is to give your book a budget that you're willing to invest on ads. And then on a regular basis, I'd say every day or every other day, come back, see what's working and adjust the bids that you need to. I found for the keyword ads that they're best used for the launch of a book because from my experience, at least when you first release a book, you've kind of got that new book launch effect and it's a bit easier to rank for those search terms. And that's where you want to try and get the sales through keyword ads and almost like sticking your book near the top of the search results. So that's my comprehensive guide to keyword ads on Amazon. As mentioned, they're one of the most important tools for me as a self-publisher, and I will launch every single book that I produce with keyword ads. But did I miss anything? If you've got any additional questions, if you've got tips and tricks that you've learned yourself, make sure to drop them down in the comments below. Okay, that's it for this video. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.